was just about to say welcome back to Councillor Webber. Councillor Chalice, is it important to just do my big welcome?
It's just saying, I don't think the microphone's quite picking up the voice.
Certainly volume up the back.
It could be at the back, but the issue is.
How about that? Is that better?
Oh.
Thank you, Councillor Chalice, and thank you, Councillor Webber. Councillor Barlow, anyone else who wants to? Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I wanted to pay a welcome to our, I would say, new member. He's recently been elected for Bournemouth Brookmeadow, but as colleagues will be aware, Councillor Webber was an unserving councillor in previous Met as well, I believe. So it's just to say welcome back to Councillor Simon Webber. Members, the only other thing I want to say at this point is that colleagues, you'll be aware that in the other place, it is a regular occurrence that a faith minister says a prayer at the start of the meeting and reminds members of the need to maintain standards and respect throughout the meeting. And also, actually, the important thing that they do, aside from saying the prayer, is to remind us all that we're here to work together as a community. I'm not proposing that we do that. I do this have two chaplains, but what I would like us to do from now on is just a short kind of pause, a reflection. We'd like to call it an attunement, just so that we think for about 30 seconds and pause in silence just to consider why we're here, for the benefit of the community, and then that hopefully will set the scene for proceedings for the rest of the meeting. So we're just going to have a short pause for about 30 seconds while we reflect on that. Okay, thank you, members. So item 2, apologies. Have we received any apologies for that? Thank you. That's one. I think that's anyone received in writing. Thank you. Declarations of interest, item 3, to receive declarations of disposable pecuniary interests and other interests from members in respect to the agenda. Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Chair. Can I declare a non-pecuniary other interest in relation to item 7 as the Chair of the Directors of the Film and TV Community Interest Company and the Chair of the Board of Elstree Film Studios Limited, who are associated with that project as well.
Certainly, thank you.
Yes.
Any other members have declaration? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I need to make declaration as well. I'm the director of the CIC.
Thank you. I don't think we've had any written request for dispensation with global interests. So there's a brief one for request for dispensation for it.
So, there's no decisions.
There's no decisions on item 7 anyway, but thank you for bringing that to our attention. Item 4, the minutes from the last full council meeting. We are approving these as a true record. Thank you, members. And number 5, signed minutes. To note the signed minutes of the committees in your agenda papers. I will just add, members, just a quick thing here, that the minutes have obviously already been confirmed and signed off by the respective committee chairs. Members, I'm going to remind you, I know everyone knows already, but you are reminded to read those when you sit on the committees to make sure that you read them thoroughly before the meeting, and any questions of accuracy should be raised with the clerk in advance. So that's just a note. Noted, great. And then we move on to item 6, Community Enforcement Officer Report. I believe we've got Paul Soy here, who's Head of Environmental Health, Licensing and Resilience.
Do you have a microphone, or shall I just project?
Use that for the
If you'd like to come over here,
Oh, okay.
please, Paul, that'd be great. And just switch the red button on the bottom there. I just say you've got about 10 minutes, including questions and answers. If that's okay.
See how I get on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this verbal update of the work of our community enforcement team. As a reminder, the community enforcement team was established in April 2024 as a public-facing team of multi-skilled officers, not only with enforcement duties, but also to engage, build relationships with local businesses, residents and visitors, and provide a reassuring presence and a conduit for the public, for both borough and town council services, as well as county and other agencies. They were set up with a funding pot derived in part from underspent money allocated to police for additional police community support officers, but bolstered by the welcome contribution budgeted at 35k per year from our student Bournemouth Town Council. So in the first year of operation, our officers didn't commence service until some way into the financial year, so the sum invoice for 2024-25 was actually only 26,250. The additional funding has enabled us to recruit, train and equip a team of 4 officers rather than 3, with approximately equivalent of 1 officer being dedicated to the Bournemouth area on a permanent basis, although that's not the way we actually work logistically. The arrangement with the Town Council is managed by a service level agreement, which also covers branding, protocols for Town Council officers passing specific reports and requests to the enforcement team. Another metric included in the SLA is that officers spend at least 43% of total time in the Bournemouth and Elstree area, reflecting the additional resource being made possible by the funding. This is currently running at about 49% for the year to date, so we're meeting that request. The vehicles now carry the Town Council logo alongside Hartsmere's, as do the distinctive red tactical vests that are worn by the officers when they're out and about. The partnership ensures that frontline resources is leveraged to deliver additional value for the Elstree and Bournemouth area at a lower cost to both councils than would otherwise be possible. It's also been possible to use it to leverage additional provision by the Police and Crime Commissioner. For example, the match resource for extended periodic Operation Hotspot patrols in the town centre, which in turn has led to a permanent extension of the daily police patrols between 960 Henley Road and Elstree Station, and our community enforcement officers continue to undertake those patrols outside of normal hours in the evenings and at weekends. In the first year of operation, the team were instrumental in the service of over 60 fixed penalty notices. Half of those were for offences in the Bournemouth and Elstree area, with a total income of almost £9,000, which has been planned back into the enforcement costs. For example, replacement of our cameras that we use for identifying flight. In the current financial year's trends continue. We've taken around £3,000 from around 25 notices to date. All of the community enforcement officers have now completed their community safety accreditation training, which is a 4-day course, and they were just waiting for police blessing so they can become accredited persons under that half-year-wide scheme. Included on the training course was one of our new members, Morgan, who was recruited to replace one of the original team that he left, and he showed great commitment by joining the training even before his full start day, so well done to him. We've now also empowered them to take full action themselves using fixed penalty notices directly, although we'll continue to adopt a graduated approach, which includes engagement and education rather than just purely enforcement, and underlines the broad remit of the team. So just going quickly through some specific events and cases. We recently had a case of a licensed flight who came from Wellingborough City, who flighted in Holmeshill Lane. Now, it's classified as Bournemouth, I think probably just outside of that technical area, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. He was found guilty of the Magistrates Court, received a relatively modest fine of £320 with a victim surcharge of £128. He was ordered to pay £900 towards their costs. The the aggravating factor was that he was actually a licensed waste carrier, somebody you would expect to trust in these matters. So that's why we felt it appropriate to take it to court rather than just deal with it by way of fixed penalty notice. Where we are sending the Environment Agency to revoke his licence. Other events, we've had a joint agency group hotspot engagement event in Shenley Road on the 21st of August. Multiple locations, police and PCSOs and our CEOs strolling with visible presence, engaging with shop staff and residents. The routine patrols and investigations have continued to reap dividends in improving the condition of our town centre service roads. Two areas recently been cleared after pressure brought to bear on landowners, and in other areas we've engaged the support of community payback team to clear litter where the landowners can't be traced. Community enforcement officers joined with police and licensing officers at the beginning of August for an engagement by the licensed premises in the town. Carried out the first of these licensing checks on pubs in Bournemouth and thankfully found genuine compliance in those. We're continuing to work with our housing team to identify and check empty properties in the town. The information gathered will lead that to potentially taking formal action against others to get those properties back into use. We dealt with a large flight of Telburn Avenue and some garages after some detailed investigation. And part of the daily patrols, the team are revisiting businesses to review their duty of care arrangements. So these are where we need to make sure that they have correct measures in place to deal with waste. And it's a visit normally followed by email or letters, and in a few cases further intervention has to be ongoing. That's something we try to check on an annual basis to make sure people are willing to do that. And that has a big influence on the condition of service roads and so on, if we've got their own arrangements in place. Recently we had to take formal action against Shenley Road Supermarket who continue to fail in their duties in respect to this waste. They regularly threw it out into their rear yard rather than using it on bins. We ended up sending a community protection notice which has now achieved compliance, although we're going to continue to monitor it.
We'll say we're on 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, I've got that. Half those here. I'll wing the last bit. Where are we? Yeah. So Arsenal hotspots continue to be patrolled based on information from police and fire colleagues, where we're looking at looking for bulky and flammable items being removed, particularly targeting Rossington Avenue for that, and some more general waste problems. We've worked with our asset management team to identify some solutions for that going forwards. We continue to monitor our away shops. We have achieved some successes, but obviously in the longer term, the council is, I think, still exploring the possibility of taking direct control of that service area. So that's, I think, as much as I've got on here. I think I missed a page. You give me one moment.
Just to let members know, I am going to let us have, because he said so many interesting things there, 3 or 4 minutes over the time I originally said. I think members get places and deal with last questions.
It was literally just to say, looking forwards, team members are going to be attending a dementia group session at Maxwell Community Centre run by Alzheimer's Society. We've got some more regular JAG, the Joint Agency Group, multi-agency engagement events that will be coming up. They're organised by community team. And finally, we'll be hopefully resuming the library meetings, which are nice at Shenley Road after they've been a break through the summer. This is an opportunity for members of the public to go and meet the team and discuss their concerns. So that's my report so far. Happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. I'm going to allow 3 questions. Councillor Turner.
Thank you very much. I don't know if it comes under your department. My ward is Elstree, Allen Lane allotments. A resident, a nearby resident has acquired some land, taking away from the allotments illegally. Does this come under your department?
Short answer, no, not that I can think of. It would possibly be asset management.
We have got a report about this later in the papers.
Oh, is that?
Councillor Rutland.
So, during the election campaign, I think all the candidates have experienced was main complaints with parking, especially the illegal parking on Chain Road, towards the end where the restaurants are. Is that our plan for the officers to start enforcing illegal parking and stopping residents and visitors parking on the pavement?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. I would have to say that the community enforcement officers are not tasked with parking matters. We do, of course, have civil enforcement officers, confusingly with the same three-letter abbreviation, but they work under our parking services team, and obviously they're the ones that are expert in matters of parking. I can't really comment on what they do and don't do on a day-to-day basis and what they can and can't cover, but what I would say that the community enforcement team are not tasked with that, and that we've made that fairly clear in the past when we've been asked for that. But I mean, if you want me to take that question back to Ian Kershaw, who's the assistant director of the parking services team, I can certainly do that.
Yes, if you could, because I have an answer.
Just to clarify, that's it, you're talking about parking.
I'm talking about the illegal parking on the pavement, on the footpath,
Yes.
on Shady Road. I received multiple complaints on this, so I'm sure the right candidates will as well. Cars rather than legally push pedestrians out of the way so they can park.
Yes, I understand there are a few loading areas that are on the pavements, but I think what you're talking about is people going above and beyond those areas. Yeah. I'll certainly pass that question on to Ian.
Just a couple of questions myself. One, I was going to ask a similar question to Councillor Rutland about there's been persistent blocking of the whole road on Lakewood Avenue recently, but I'm assuming that's going to be one for the civil enforcement officers as opposed to. Okay, so I'll speak to Ian Kershaw about that. Just the other things were, I don't think I've actually met the officers yet in person. I think I have accidentally outside the Borough Council office, but I really appreciate it. I'm sure members would say the same. The opportunity to actually meet them face to face, not with in a kind of concentrated meeting for councillors themselves, as opposed to going on to an engagement event with other people. And just the second thing was, there was a recent Facebook post by Hartsmere with the community enforcement officers talking about what they do, and I couldn't see the town council logo anywhere on the front of the uniform. Could you just clarify if it was on there or if that was an old footage?
It may well have been old footage. What we have now is an additional sticker, because obviously the uniforms are already made up. We've not got new uniforms, to include the logo. What we've done is added a sticker with the town council logo, similar to the one I've got on my box over there, alongside the Hartsmere one on the red vests. I'm now also looking at the possibility of getting some iron-on embroidered patch type logos, which we can add to some of their undergarments, because obviously they do tend to wear the red thing all the time, but if they're at an engagement event, then maybe take that off as warm. I'd quite like to be able to have your logo alongside the Hartsmere one underneath, and we haven't quite achieved that yet, but I'm working on that. The vans themselves that you see around, the stickers we've got on those have got the town council alongside Hartsmere. And so, I think we're very close to having that. But as I say, I can't control sometimes our constantly will use is library footage, maybe, or some old pictures, which may be us having those stickers. So I apologise for our work.
That's about a meeting.
Sorry.
You go to meet them.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So you'd like all of them to meet all of you, or certainly as many as you want to put together? I'm happy to.
Some kind of meeting.
Yeah. Would you want to do that sort of at the end of one of your routine meetings, or do you want to make something special?
Do you have any preferences about that? Councillor Carson?
You know, at least once a week, I keep writing to Ian Kesha on this writing, like, or Rosington Avenue.
Sorry, Councillor Carson, we're just talking about arranging a meeting.
Right.
I've taken 3 questions because we just
Apart from
haven't
yours.
signed yet.
Apart from yours.
No. Can I did say 3 questions, sorry. Can we go back to this? I think we don't have to arrange the meeting now, but we can do it afterwards. Yes, yeah.
My suggestion regarding that, maybe for one of the transplant community forum,
Yes.
which happens, I think, once every 2-3 months. So I think if they can just turn up, a lot of residents turn to those meetings, so maybe they can ask some questions related to that.
Yeah, by all means. I think within yesterday we did say that we would try and attend those. We've not managed to so far. So yes, if you can make sure I've got the dates, I'll get as many of them there as possible. Bear in mind it's the evening event, so I may not be able to put them all there together. But if we wanted to organise something during the working day, that would be easier to get everybody.
Apart from yours. You asked me to ask a question.
Okay, apparently anyone has the right to ask any questions, so we can just. Councillor Carson, if you want to ask a question, you're welcome.
Is Frankie a part of your remit or not? Yeah. Yeah, because I keep writing to Mr. Ian Kesha at least once a week on this issue. The standard places, Rosington Avenue, off Eden Avenue, Sterling Corner, and or of course Manor. Apart from, of course, the car parking, which you said is not your area. But you know, what I find is very amusing is that we expect the public to write to us on Facebook and complain and send us photographs, or you expect us to, review the issues. Instead of that, why can't somebody from your own department take a vehicle, go around different parts of the bar as Idenham, Shelley, once a week or once a month?
So,
Instead of depending on the public to communicate. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. As I mentioned in the report, the officers do patrol on a daily basis. Obviously, we could cover the whole borough, but they're spending nearly 50% of their time in the Bournemouth Industrial area. One of the places you mentioned, Rosington Avenue, we are giving special attention, as I mentioned in my report. But in terms of fly tipping, we are responsible for the investigation and potentially the enforcement action against people who identify the perpetrators. But it would be somebody from Mr. Kershaw's team who would come along and clear it up. If it was on public land, obviously you get more confusion. If it's on private land, we then need to talk to the landowners and so on and so forth. But it's a joint effort between myself and Mr. Kershaw's teams.
Councillor Parnell, I believe you had a question as well.
Yes, one time, yes, please. Hi, Paul. See you. One, I think, could we have a copy of that report? Because I heard quite clearly all of it, but I would like just to read it myself. Also, the officers, do they come to Manaway? Or anywhere, I've never seen them, honestly, I'm up and down Shelley Road, Manaway, all the roads, I haven't seen one. Honestly, I'm out every single day, I've seen one, and I haven't met one since we, how long have we paid for one? Just as a matter of interest.
June 24.
I haven't seen one, and I haven't met one.
So everyone has a right to speak. So my aim if you're having 3 and just getting it done, moving on and keeping to time is going to take a bit of a dip. I saw Councillor Smith first and then Councillor Newmark.
I just wanted to say I'm not in Bournemouth very much because I work in the county, but I see them all the time. So
Well, my hearing's bad, but my eyesight's great.
and I would say I work in Hertfordshire outside of Bournemouth. I don't work in Bournemouth. I see them a lot. So, they're very right there.
Well, you must be lucky, you must come at the times that they're out, but I promise you, every single day.
Just to say that we're not here to discuss and have a debate between us. Personally, I don't see them that much. I've got to say I've hardly seen them as well. But
I'm not finished.
okay, go on, Councillor Smith.
I just wanted to say also.
It was about asking questions to Paul though.
Yeah. I just wanted to also just make a note that the blighted on Stirling Way has been cleared. So I emailed Ian on Friday. It was encroaching. It was affecting the driving test from the test centre, and it's been cleared now. Not on the private land, obviously, but on the public highway.
Thank you, Councillor Newmark.
Yeah, we do live in an age where we see and hear a lot of disinformation, and it's a shame that some of that gets parroted here because we have very clear data that shows that across the team of 4 officers, they spend 49% of their total time in and around Boreham Wood, and I believe they're equipped with tracking devices, so that can actually be evidence. Is that?
I'd like to see that evidence.
They're not strictly trackers, but obviously we record on a daily basis, where they've been and so on. I mean, over the current over the current calendar year, at that time it equates something like 1,600 individual interventions, across the borough, of which nearly 50% have been in the Bournemouth and Elstree area.
Thank you for that clarification, and let's get some data circulated because I think it's not right and proper for elected officials with a degree of responsibility to extrapolate conclusions from what they may or may not see as individuals where there is very clear data.
Okay, let's stick to questions that's been answered. So thank you for raising that, Councillor Newmark. Thank you, Paul. Does anyone have any final questions? I'm personally keen to move on. Keep the time. Anyone itching to? No, okay, right, we're going to move on then. Thank you very much, Paul, for your time this evening. So, there's some activity going on in front of me because we now have a very exciting agenda item. Point 7, a presentation on the Community Interest Company and Immersive Experience Project update. Myself and Councillor Kumar are going to move out of the way, so get blinded by the... Right, so I'm going to do that now.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adam. I am the head of Creative Industries, Culture and AI for Hertfordshire Futures, which was formerly the Local Enterprise Partnership and now part of the County Council. really appreciate the opportunity to present what we are envisaging today to the Town Council, and I'll be happy to take questions. I'll give you a little bit of background about myself, just so you know where I'm coming from with this project. So before I came and joined the people of Hertfordshire, I ran the Mayor of London's Creative Industries Hub for the GLA. Prior to that, I was in the sector for 20 odd years, so I was a director and producer in film, television, theatre, and ran events and venues. I also worked with in finance with ultra high net family offices, advising on culture. So I come from a background that then takes in academia, local authority, and sector. And it's important because what we're doing here is what we're calling a triple helix model. It's an opportunity to be creative in how do we work with high streets and regeneration? How do we celebrate legacy? And it's legacy not just of Elstree Studios Centenary, which is a project I'm leading on with the studios, but also for Hartsmith and for Elstree Wood. There's a lot of change happening. There's going to be local government reorganisation. That has been fun. There is going to be new identities happening. But we don't want to lose our history in that. And that's where the Town Council becomes an anchor for that identity. So we are creating a transformative attraction. I'll run through these slides and make them as colourful as I can, but I'm keen to get through it so we can get to questions. It's the visitor experience of celebrating the legacy of 100 years of film and television. And if anyone's been to the studios, you're lucky, because not a lot of people can get inside them. You're excluded. Communities are excluded from them, because they are places of work. I understand that, there's a reason, but it's also the fabric of the history of our town. I say our town, I live in Melbourne. We need to open it up to a public, and this is how we do it, through new technologies, without compromising the work that happens in the studios that are vital and require privacy, but also to create an anchor for the town, supporting regeneration, skills development, creating partnerships funded through Hertsmith Borough Council, with operations and support from the Film and TV Community Interest Company. And I'll get through what that looks like. Progress to date. So we completed a feasibility study. I funded that from my budget from the county. We worked with a consultancy that built the Eden project that worked on very large visitor attractions. We robustly tire-kicked the numbers. We went through to a number of immersive experiences to look at the business case. What is the market for this? And the market is enormous. It's almost £30 billion worldwide. It is the #1 visitor attraction in England, is the Harry Potter Studio Tour in Three Rivers. We have that same legacy, but Warner Brothers have exploited it, and they're doing incredibly well out of it. It has over 2 million visitors. It's enormous. So we have the opportunity to do something different because our IP, our intellectual property, will be vast because of the amount of different content made. Our relationships are also vast with all the studios that we work with. We're looking at a site. We did a feasibility study on a potential site. We looked at these film studios themselves. It became too difficult a proposition. Particularly over highways, it was virtually impossible to find out who owns the slip road next to Tesco's. Just getting people on and off site would have been impossible. We looked at another building on the high street itself, but again, the lease negotiation just proved to be far too complicated. I then emailed colleagues in the studio system, and colleagues of Sky came back to us very keen to support this project. And they're very keen to support this project for a number of reasons. I think, first of all, they're investing heavily in the community. They have a planning they've seen the impact Harry Potter World is having on Warner Brothers, and Universal, who owns them, is putting £1 billion visitor attraction in Bedfordshire. And we're talking to them now about what we're calling the Thameslink Creative Corridor, taking us from King's Cross St Pancras, which is a major international transportation hub, so you can go from Gatwick, from Brighton, through to Elstree, Borehamwood, and then ultimately on to Luton, Bedfordshire. So that is Workshop C at Panattoni, which is next to the Little Aldi. Is it Little? Next to Little, and it's a 26,000 square foot site. We've got key partnerships with Sky Studio, with the University of Hertfordshire, who is becoming one as a training provider, with Elstree's Freelance Academy, and with technology providers. And diving down this rabbit hole, I discovered that Hertfordshire has an enormous number of technologists in this space. I had no idea we produce so many LED screens in the county. We've got sound manufacturers that do the sound for immersive experiences. So it means we're developing an ecosystem locally, so it's local suppliers, local businesses, as much as we possibly can. And the university invested £100 million in their computer science program. They are world leaders in artificial intelligence. They've just built their own immersive cylinder. They will provide us with the research and the training that we need. They're keen to get a presence in Hartsmith and in Elstree and Borehamwood, which they feel that they've been lacking for some time. And the timeline, looking to launch by December 2026. Now, people in construction tell me you're insane, there's no way that's going to happen. But the difference is that I'm not building a theme park. Theme parks are huge engineering projects. It's screens, it's speakers, and it's projectors. And they're very clever screens, speakers and projectors, and they're very expensive ones. But they aren't difficult to install, and they're easy to move around. And we're building film sets, and we have those in abundance. So it's all about getting the installation correct, the design correct, the project work that has to happen, but the installation itself is very quick. So it is an ambitious target because we've got to go through planning, we'll have to get licenses, we'll have to test the technology, we need to organise the IP, we need to do negotiations with copyright holders. That's the part that's going to take a long time. But the actual installation itself isn't particularly complicated, which means it can move. And when the regeneration is happening, and there are other opportunities to place this somewhere else, if it's appropriate, we would then be able to look at doing that. But it needs a robust governance structure, and we need to be able to make sure that it is accountable to the community. And it gives us a couple of benefits beyond just what is prudent and tax efficient. So an SVP would manage the build, the capital delivery, holds the council's still investment, plus private and in-kind investment for our technology partners and our education partners. There would be a JV, a joint venture, which shares the risk and return with private tech partners, and this is one of the big cost points. So for a lot of these tech companies, they want to showcase technology, which is why we're having very interesting conversations with them. And we bring in an operator to be part of that JV because we don't want to break the attraction. We're not qualified to do that. We need someone that will deliver. The CIC then becomes absolutely fundamental to the mission. It holds the lease. It's led by the town council for the community operations. Through a CIC, I can bid in for not-for-profit funding, for Lottery Heritage, for Arts Council. It gives tax efficiencies around rates relief, there are benefits associated, and the asset is locked for reinvestment. We also cement it in Elstree and Borehamwood, because Hartsmith Borough Council will cease to exist, and Elstree and Borehamwood Town Council won't. And I think that's incredibly important. Well, so what is the role? So the role for the town council is the operations funding of the community interest company. The focus on community events, the focus on local government, so it reports directly into the elected officials, so we are accountable. We're developing a heritage trail which will be a mixture of physical activities that people can engage with to encourage people to walk to the attraction from the station, to walk through the high street. We have in a gentleman called Howard Berry from the University of Hertfordshire as one of the leading historians on everything Elstree and Boreham Wood and all the movies made here, and has an enormous database that we'll be able to access. So members of the public will be able to visualize through technology what it looked like, what was happening on that piece of road where a famous movie was made, access to audio information as well. We'll have a free access program with 20,000 free tickets for local residents, for schools, for youth groups, local charities, and it's the post-evolution anchor. And the numbers that we've been working on are looking at through a £2.3 million civil capital investment with an additional £700,000 in-kind contribution from the university at a mid-case dividend return of £11.3 million over the first 5-year period. That is in line with the sector. These are higher returns than traditional amusement parks have. Traditional amusement parks have higher depreciation. So there's a 2 to 3 year return on the council's investment. But I think the piece that excites me the most is the 200 plus indirect and 40 plus direct jobs we've modelled on this. So the site itself will employ people, but the supply chain to the site employs people. We run the film office in Hertfordshire, and we have a tool that measures the economic impact in the local community where a big movie is being made. And that's how we are able to calculate these numbers. Looking at through the research and our feasibility study, it looked like an 80,000 increase annually in high street visitation coming through to the locality, and 4 million in GVA from year 1 rising to 20 million by year 5 with 100,000 community visits. The market itself is 250 billion globally, with 4.7 billion projected by 2030. It's in the industrial strategy, one of the key sectors of the creative industries, so it has central government support with a 20% growth rate at the moment, which is enormous. The validation has come from attractions like Frameless in London, Monopoly Life Size, the Harry Potter Studio Tour, which validate our visitor forecasts and pricing models. So we've looked into how they're built, who's invested in them, and it puts Elstree and Boreham Wood, because it's uniquely positioned to capitalise on this boom. Because we can all go out and build an immersive experience, but nowhere has Elstree and Boreham Wood's heritage. It's totally unique, and it's something that we want to exploit for the benefit of the community. We will add community media labs. This will be for local schools and residents can create virtual reality or augmented reality stories, supporting digital creativity, storytelling skills, but local history. We can record local history. We can develop a tour of Elstree and Boreham Wood through the ages, have a time tunnel for people to go through. A STEAM lab, hands-on learning in creative technologies, bridging science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, especially for learners who struggle with school. This is a way to engage young people in a way that maybe they haven't been able to do in a traditional school setting. Digital inclusion with dementia-friendly design, sensory sessions, working on English as a second language through immersive language coursing. It's saying the best way to learn language is to go to that country, immerse yourself. We can create that within this space. Accessibility for all community members. It's fully accessible. I myself am physically disabled. My daughter is non-verbal autistic. We are excluded from a great number of activities. But this is entirely friendly. A partnership then with care homes, with dementia groups, and with SDN bodies in a way to support our creating skills pathways into a realm of new technology, which is going to fundamentally change employment, especially around AI. And this allows us to work with artificial intelligence, using creative industries as the low-hanging fruit, but it gives us the opportunity to train a new workforce. So we're protecting jobs and we're building new ones. And then there'll be annual film festivals, digital art galleries, showcasing local arts and talent and creativity, and that's where the town council becomes fundamental to ensure this mission isn't overtaken by a commercial one that will be part of this process as well. A timeline looking at the establishment of the CIC, which is going to happen. We'll go to the detailed design phase and procurement process. We'll look at a fit-out testing phase, followed by a soft launch in September to get our licenses, and a public launch in December with a visitor growth trajectory, surplus reinvestment programs, and skills expansion initiatives. It's very ambitious to hit this timeline, and we've built wiggle room in this. But we appreciate that acknowledge it's very ambitious, but we want to be very ambitious on this project. In conclusion, we're looking at those risks. Of course, there's risk. It would be foolish to say there isn't. But it is managed low risk with high return in a proven business model with robust financial projections, stress tested scenarios in a market that is exploding with a unique intellectual property associated to the locality. It gives us global meeting level because we are a globally significant hub in film and television. But there isn't a celebration of that in such a way to generate further revenue beyond the revenue that Elstree Film Studios brings to the local community. And it helps us deliver on multiple elements of your own cultural and creative strategy, but county councils, cultural and creative strategies, but also the strategies of central government, local government, leading into a change in that and being able to face into those changes, those opportunities with a lasting legacy that celebrates our past and secures our creative future. I'm more than happy to take any questions you may have, and I really appreciate the opportunity to address you.
Questions? Yeah, well, thank you for that. Shall I let you all shift and move around and then we can concentrate on planning? Yeah, that's all right. We'll wait for it. Questions? All right, continue, Mr. Mayor.
Not yet. I just wanted to thank Adam for such an interesting presentation. Thank you. And that's all then.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and the cadence for that. We're doing well here. That's one of the emotions, you know. Yeah, that would be good.
Good idea.
Oh, now can you hear me? I don't know. Can you hear me? Yeah. Better? No? I don't know. Whatever. I'll just shout at you. Excuse me while I shout. Yeah, look, it is ambitious. I see what you're saying there. And over that time, I think the one thing, you're pinpointing the stuff from Harry Potter and what's gone over in Leeds, and the difference is they have one particular film set to pinpoint all that effort on. They also had, or have rather, the equipment, the props, everything like that. So the kids that are now adults and the kids of those adults obviously grew up in the magical world of Harry Potter, reading the books, everything like that. They've got the whole package. As where Elstree and Boreham Wood, you've got films from right way back to Moby Dick. The first black and white film, I think, was made here. The largest cinema screen in the whole of Europe was made at Gate Studios, which is now flats. No disrespect, they're nothing nice to go and look at, is it? And you don't really want to watch someone sitting down having a Sunday lunch and a load of people talking out the window. Well, here used to be Gate Studios and the cinema screen was built here. Well, I can see a 63-inch TV in there, that's it. So, how are you going to make that more magical to people wanting to come to look at this? Because ultimately, you, as I said, you've got so many different films, the war films, like Dick, the Saint Ice Cold in Alex, you know, all those sort of things. People don't really talk about, yeah, they talk about Star Wars, talk about Indiana Jones, but they're so long gone in the past. But now we've got Netflix, you know, The Crown and stuff like that, which we should celebrate. We should celebrate all of this. But there's a hell of a lot of history to try and put into such a, in my eyes, a small building when you look at it in that sense. And when you look around the town has changed. I appreciate what you say about trying to take it back into what it used to look like. But it's very hard. So I think it'd be a hard sell, to be perfectly honest. I'm going to be a critical friend because I like it, and I like the ambition, and I like the return potentially the town council as well as Hartsmere and residents will get. But I would like to know a bit more about how you're going to make that look much more like a wow, I want to go there and have a look.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. I think that's an excellent question. The strength in the experience is in the variety it can generate, in a way that Harry Potter is a single source of IP, and it's a brilliant one because it's making billions of pounds, and they're making a new series. We've just done a deal in lots of locations, locally, which we're delighted with. But what we have here is at a much smaller scale. So we didn't have the advantage they had of all that land, all the parking, the transportation links. We're working on that with Sky and their bus fleet, about using that to be able to take people backwards and forwards. But we would use the variety and the history of that as an asset class, because we look at the tech depreciation to begin with. So the hardware doesn't change that much over the years, but the software will update in this world very, very quickly. So the first thing we do, and we're in a conversation at the moment, is with the Kubrick estate, and so we'll do the Kubrick experience. And we feel it's a strong enough IP in the first instance to target an audience and build up that word of mouth and that excitement and wow factor that we're talking about, and then take people who maybe don't have any history. They don't know what Moby Dick is a movie, it's not of another generation, but then introduce them to that through this experience and make it much more tangible for multiple generations. The other way we're looking at this is two primary activities on the site. You'll have your premium high-end content. That's the conversation we're having with Lucasfilm, and the conversation we're having with Universal around, let's say, for example, the Wicked experience, because Universal are very keen on doing this type of work because they're investing a lot of money in the region. So we would be able to work with them on those high-end, big-name pieces of intellectual property that will draw the crowd in. And at the same time, where something like Harry Potter is busy most of the year round, if you go to Shrek's Adventures in London, again, DreamWorks, single source of intellectual property, they suffer because outside of school holidays and weekends, they're empty. And this is when we spoke to the operators, they kept saying, well, that's the problem for this, is you'll just be empty all the time. We said, well, that's why the community element is so fundamentally important. And the training aspect of this is fundamentally important. Because training brings in income. So through Skills England, through DFE Skills boot camps that we run, we get paid to provide training for people to upskill, to learn new skills, and that provides an income stream. We then also get to generate some experiences that will appeal to people who don't want to go in peak times, and it allows us to do dynamic pricing as well, so we can change pricing to suit an audience coming on a Wednesday during term time who don't have children, or maybe are retired, or sit in dementia groups, or being able to take larger groups with extra special educational needs. So we're looking at that. I think you're absolutely right. The other question I then bring in is the marketing and where we're spending money. And I think Councillor Smith had that conversation at the SIL committee to talk about, we've got to get the word out. And a lot of that will be social media focused. We've got to deal with TikTok who will be supporting a lot of this. So I really appreciate the question, Adam. It's something we're definitely looking at. Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Chairs.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It's very detailed. It's really interesting to see what might be coming up. I'm just being quite mindful of Boreham Woods in particular, but also the wider area. We do have quite significant levels of deprivation in some places, and there's what could seem affordable, and then there's what could seem affordable locally. So I appreciate it may be commercially sensitive at this stage, but to get a sense of what we're talking about in terms of the pricing. But also, in terms of just, is there anything to compare this to? So is this experience similar to when perhaps in London they have, I don't know, the Minecraft experience, or is it similar to maybe in Tottenham Court Road, when you go there, I'm not sure if you know about this train station, you have all those things falling down on massive screens, and they've done goth experiences, and is it that type of thing? I'm a very visual person, so being able to imagine how it would play out for someone living in Boreham Wood, if they feel that this is something accessible, or is it going to be they go online and they see that ticket prices are £50 for one adult or one child to go? It's getting that sense would be really wonderful, and just what it actually looks like. Talk me through a visit there. What would go on, please? Thank you. Sorry, very visual.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'll talk you through that. The ticket pricing, it has to be affordable locally. So we stress tested the demographic of Hertfordshire, Barnet and Penfield. We looked at that as our immediate capture zone. And what are people spending on leisure activities and then on travel? And from there we came up with a set of ticketing prices, which is currently commercially sensitive information, but we can share that in a confidential briefing. But within that, we also looked at dynamic ticketing pricing and the 20,000 free tickets for the local community, because you're absolutely right. Elstree and Boreham Wood has some of the highest levels of population in the region, and we're often, I write a lot of fund reports for county council, and we often don't get them because we're just being marketed in London, and we're not being held, we're not being seen as what we are, which is not part of London. It's Hertfordshire, actually part of the East of England. It's a fight I keep having with the British Film Institute. So we would be very mindful of price rises, because I think that's important for reputation as well. The idea of this is to make money, yes, partly, but it's also to celebrate a history and provide income and jobs and investment. And we can only do that if it's fairly priced. And I think that's where the town council becomes fundamentally important in keeping it honest, because they will be a commercial operator, and they aren't philanthropic. They're there to make money. That's what we want them to be doing. But also we need to ensure that the mission isn't lost within that. So I think it would be up to us, up to you as elected members, as representatives of your communities, to ensure that doesn't happen. And visually, so Outernet and Tottenham Court Road, it is a retail experience. You've got somewhere like Framers, which is a Van Gogh exhibition, which is all about art and being immersed within art. This is a mixture of the two. So you would have a walkthrough, like a tunnel, that would take you through all the different history of filmmaking, and then you were able to create movie moments yourself and star in them. We'll have backplots, we'll have a set that will be put in. So today's meeting, Sky, was about acquiring some of their sets. They don't know what to do with it. They simply do nothing, which is exactly what the Harry Potter tool did. So we will be able to recreate that, and you can go behind the scenes and see what the set was like. Then you can watch, we have a holographic theatre, so you'll be able to watch A Midsummer Night's Dream and have a two-way conversation with Titania, who's backed by a large language model, to learn her motivations. So we've got multiple uses. There's a presentation that takes you through exactly what that is and what it looks like, which I'm very happy to share with members.
Thank you, Mr. I think it's a fantastic idea for Boreham Wood. I know we that makes those deprived areas better in themselves, the people that in those areas feel better about themselves as well. And it's magical for this for Boreham Wood. We need something in Boreham Wood that the film students say we love them and they love them and nobody can go to them. Nobody. You know, of the public. And they're missing out. This type of thing, if we can create something like that here and make it better for the people that like Rebecca said, might not be able to afford it, but make it possible for them to afford it, to see what we can have, as well as other people. Just bring that up to other people, not go down to the. I think it's a great idea. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Councillor. And just on the jobs front, you'd be absolutely correct. So we have hospitality, catering, guides.
So it wouldn't exactly. So it would be normal jobs.
Yes.
I say normal jobs. You know what I mean? Like because all this AI and all this, it's normal jobs.
In fact, that's the bulk of the employment. The high-tech jobs, they're a much smaller number. So the bulk of the employment is around the experience.
Boreham needs that, in my opinion.
Councillor Cars, then also Councillor Smith and Councillor Newmark, and I've got a question as well.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the presentation. I'm sure it has a very good chance of success. But instead of looking just at hardware and its ability of a 50 won't take it, I think we should look at it nationally. So that if it has a national appeal, then it has a better chance of success than thinking only of hardware. If you look at the only other place that we have an entire area here in Boreham Wood Ministry is ISKCON. If anybody saw that 24 years back, it's a very small place with probably people coming in hundreds. Now it has 10,000, 15,000 people in the big place. So it has to have a national appeal, not just appealing people to Hartsman. And like you said, I went to Pottersburg, this Harry Potter. Now, well, like that, like you said, there's a very small audience, only particular sector, but this has much broader appeal. Like people who want to see like from the days of Moby Dick to current day movies. And with Sky and ESA support that we have, with the name coming up once again as a studio town, I think we have a very good chance of success. I would say please go ahead with this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. And just to say that even though we haven't publicly announced anything, the word got out, so we're getting other local authorities contacting us quite regularly now saying, how are you doing this and can we talk about it? And so there's a clear demand for this type of activity. And there is a risk, but we are developing a fallback position as well.
Just before we go on to Councillor Smith and Councillor Newmark, I just wanted to clarify something which you mentioned at the start, which is that this item is for information only this evening. So we won't actually be taking decisions tonight about this particular item. But obviously any matters requiring approval will return to full council for consideration at a future meeting. Councillor Smith.
Yes, I've just got a quick question. Would it include TV shows as well as film? Because Chase and Pointless both filmed at Elstree Studios, as well as, unfortunately, Big Brother, or at least it used to be. No, not anymore. Yeah. So, and we've also got the EastEnders, the inside sets, the EastEnders filmed at Elstree Studios as well. So, will it all just be film, or will it include all of that as well?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, we're trying to be as broad as we can with the content. A lot then depends on the ability for the experience to negotiate the licensing deals that come with the content creators. Now, there are companies that aggregate those licenses, and those are the ones we're engaged with. What we have, which is quite unique, is direct relationship with the companies themselves, the actual, rather than their agents with them. So with EastEnders, for example, last year we funded a multi-cam director training program for them. And that found 6 people to come in, and we are investing in their training, being able to get local jobs. It gives us leverage in that relationship with them to discuss the use of their intellectual property. But these conversations take a long time because the material is owned by multiple parties. It's been sold off in the past, so not the BBC necessarily. They're most of that, but it's the French broadcaster that owns a lot of Elstree historic content, but we have very strong relationships with them. They understand what all of this is, and all the projections are based on an industry standard for a license agreement. So we know what the license holder will receive and what the experience itself will take. And the same with the merchandising. But yeah, it would be wonderful to be able to recreate the chase and let the person go on it and go on the show. The same as Strictly, which is performing right now. That's a very important part of the heritage of the Ascent, of the Avengers. Yeah, absolutely, television would be a very important element. Yeah.
Very PC there, PC. Councillor Newmark.
Yeah, look, first of all, thank Adam, not just for his presentation, but for all of the work that he's put into this, really on our behalf over the past few months. We're really very lucky to have Adam working on this project, because he is quite literally one of the national leaders in this field, as well as supporting the screen sector generally. I think that as a town council, we need to look at this in terms of being a huge opportunity rather than worrying about whether or not people will come. I think that from the numbers we've seen and the business model, the problem actually will be managing demand. I mean, how often have we heard people say, nothing to do with Bournemouth? Well, this is giving some people something world class to do in Bournemouth. I think the business model and the economics we've seen make it very clear that there will be plenty of scope to have a ticketing scheme that is calibrated to allow significant discounts for both local people on benefits, people in the areas of multiple deprivation. I think thousands of local school children will get access to the centre and the non-premium content during the day at no charge. I think community groups will be able to use parts of the facilities. We've talked about partnerships with care homes and the use of AI in providing experiences for dementia sufferers and those with special educational needs. So I think that whilst, as Adam said at the outset, there is a degree of risk, the opportunities massively outweigh the risks, which kind of brings me to the Mayor's point about this not being a decision meeting, and any decisions the Town Council needs to make coming at a later stage. Obviously, the Town Council CIC has been the sort of host body for the seal bid, which will enable the borough to make the £2 million of investments that we've taken through the first stage of approval already, and also contributed to the feasibility study. But actually, the piece about whether or not the Town Council needs to take decisions around this is really for the Town Council, having heard the presentation, to come forward and look at what the opportunities might be. Does the Town Council want a slice of the operating pie and potentially a slice of the profits and revenue going forward? Does the Town Council want to be very specifically involved in the sort of community element as part of its own culture strategy? One of the ancillary parts of the programme is to have the project is to have a QR code walk down Shenley Road with people on their way to the experience being able to scan QR codes at key locations and get content that way. I think also, as Adam said in another report I heard, there are opportunities for things like Comic Con, which have tens of thousands of visitors on an annual basis, to be hosted at this experience. If you think that a couple of years ago we were talking about there being sufficient demand for a film and TV heritage centre, which was going to be a sort of old school, probably relatively stuffy museum in a small room somewhere, and you look at how this scales that idea up. If there was demand for the former, I think there will absolutely be demand for the latter, and a lot of work's been done by the team at EFS and their partners on the IP content, because I think that's what this thing will, that's its unique selling point. You can go to an immersive experience in London and Star Trek thing and fly the USS Enterprise. Well, people will then be able to come to Boreham Wood and fly the Millennium Falcon with all of the original Star Wars graphics and paraphernalia. It's very clear to me, particularly as we go into the 50th anniversary of Star Wars next year, that is something for which the demand will just fly through the roof. So my concerns are more about managing demand than actually needing to generate it. And I think what I would encourage the town council to do is to have its own conversation about precisely how it wants to be involved. I think that it's not for Adam and the team to necessarily come to the town council and say, this is what we want you to do, this is how it should be shaped. You're giving this presentation today at such an early stage in the process to give the town council the opportunity to come to Adam and say, this is how we would like to be involved and engaged.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Just that it is fully owned by Bart's Borough Council and the town council, so you were entirely on decision is only not proper, but it should be.
I'm just going to say,
Hold on, Councillor.
I'm just going to say, if you could put his chair back in, because he's speaking that way and we didn't, I didn't hear what he said.
Would you mind repeating the
I'm
last
so
bit?
sorry,
No,
I
no.
didn't know, that's all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you want to repeat the last bit, or?
Well, I didn't hear what you said to Councillor Newman.
I was just saying, Councillor, that it's only right and proper that those decisions on the involvement of the town council should be made by the elected.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a short comment and one or two questions. That's really exciting, and it certainly fits with the culture and creative arts strategy that we have as a town council, and our vision, if you like, to make our town a kind of creative industry hub above and beyond the studios that are already in building on the excellent legacy that Elstree Film Heritage and First Impressions have left us. And also actually, mentioned about attracting people into outside the town as well. Part of our vision was of course to make our town more of a tourist hub, and in terms of the benefits to the local economy and local businesses and so on and so forth. And there was a lot that you were saying that was quite encouraging about about those things as well. We have a kind of subcommittee, working group that works on our cultural and creative arts strategy, and I think this would definitely be something that we discuss there, and perhaps even invite you back to address that committee, because for instance the chair is Elena, who's not here today, which will be interested to you as well. Just a kind of practical question that I had, which was, because you mentioned Pelotonia is the site? Okay, so just in terms of, obviously it's quite out of the way, isn't it? And apologies if you mentioned this in the presentation, but how would, say residents were coming into the station, and we wouldn't, I remember when, well, we wouldn't want to kind of add immensely to the traffic that's already there Shenley Road. I'm sure those of us that will come through the town this evening would test. So what would be the plan in terms of getting ferrying people, if you like, from the station to this?
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Thank you for the question. It's one of the most fundamentally important issues we need to tackle. So we've been doing a number of travel plans on this to look at how do we get people from Elstree Royal Station, which is what we want there are a number of parking spaces available, but they will be limited, and we obviously don't want lots of extra traffic. As you say, the roads are totally gridlocked at the moment. So it's a mixture of working with local partners that already provide a service. So Sky Electric Bus Fleet, Sky are the ones that have introduced that as a possibility for us. They would be inclined to help. But at the numbers we're talking about, their buses may not necessarily be enough. We would probably need more. There's also been a question around insurance, so we would need to discuss the implications of taking a passenger on a journey, and we've got a meeting with Warner Brothers to understand their bus service and how they transport people to their site. But obviously they have an enormous parking footprint at the site in Euston. We'll be working with highways as well to understand the signage to the space, accessibility. So the disabled parking access, bike access, and as part of the trail, making that a gamified approach to encourage more foot traffic where appropriate, where possible for people. But I think that these are challenges we need to overcome, and we'll work with colleagues in the space to manage those obstacles and come up with a comprehensive travel plan.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chase?
On the travel plan, has anything been looked into about utilising the already existing double-deck bus, the 107, that goes from the station to there through signage? And I'm sure TfL would be very happy if its numbers increased.
We've been talking to TfL and to Thameslink as well, because this is part of a wider strategy with them. But yeah, we would be looking to develop those relationships.
Okay, I haven't seen any more hands going up. It'll be easy to start moving on now just because of the time, 40 minutes left. But I just want to say thank you very much again to Adam for coming along. And I'm sure everyone will echo that view that it looks very interesting indeed. And we look forward to hearing and discussing more as a council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anyone had any follow-up questions, please feel free to drop them in, and I'm happy to answer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Right, okay, so we're moving on now to agenda item 8, committee appointments. To review and where necessary amend committee subcommittees for forums of work group appointments following the election of Councillor Simon Butler in July 2025, noting that political proportionality is unaffected. So are there any comments that anyone would like to make about that? Councillor
Just want to say that my surname is Rubler, as in Uber.
Rubler. I dare you to try and pronounce my surname. Is that alright? But on a serious point, does anyone have any comments about this?
Sorry, Mr. Murphy, we spoke about the international. But we would like to be on another committee, which I've spoken to you about, and Richard has spoken to you about.
So there's obviously a
He would ask, so I'm sorry, he said he would ask Puna, who is on extended, if she still wants to, just for the time she's not around. But I don't know if you've done that yet, because I haven't nagged you, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, we're going to keep the political proportionality as set by the council. So, Councillor, I can never say it last name, I'm so sorry, Pooja, but if Pooja can't make it due to a kind of baby, and we'll congratulate her here, that post would still be filled by a Labour member. However, there is nothing, as everyone knows, there is nothing stopping any member attending these meetings, being involved in the discussions and debate. It just means they would not have voting rights on that. However, they would have a voting rights to the full council, where obviously we ratify the minutes of those meetings anyway. I'm sure sure if there's an issue or a concern to raise, you could bring it up here. Thank you.
Councillor
Listen,
Right.
I just wanted to say that I'm especially keen to go into the National Affairs Committee. I was one of the main instigators of our Trinity Charm, alongside Councillor Ponnell and Councillor Newmark. I've also been a big supporter of the town planning through my many years as a member of the Entertainment Committee. And I just feel that, given my experience and the fact that both sides of the traditional members will know that my views in terms of town tourism, especially
Just to say, thank you for that. There is a vacancy there, and you proposed to put yourself on, or Councillor Pine, do you want to propose it? Second it. All in favour of that? Great. Okay. Fantastic. And obviously, within your group, if you did want to reshuffle the committees, then you're entitled to do that and bring it to full council. But if you're happy with things as they are at the moment, then
Sorry, I also, sometimes I can't hear my voice. Sometimes I can't manage the entertainment committee, meetings, so maybe Simon can sub for me.
We can come along anyway.
he's always welcome to sub.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, of course you can.
I know he can do it.
And also, you can
I'm
come along
only
anyway.
mentioning it, Richard.
All three of you can come along. All of us can turn up to entertain us if you really
No,
like.
but
It'd be an
it's-
entertaining meeting, wouldn't it?
Richard, excuse me, if he can't vote on anything, there's no point in him.
Actually, I disagree with you there, because actually he has a voice and he can debate, and if he's good at debating, he might win the vote round. Just like you have done tonight with everyone. Anyway, carry on, Mr. Mayor.
Now, see, you don't, listen, Mr. Mayor, if he interferes when I'm speaking, could you please tell him?
I will of course do that. Okay, so congratulations to Councillor Rubler for coming on to the International Affairs Subcommittee. I'm on that myself and I look forward to working on that. Okay, so item 9, accounts for payment, to confirm the payment of accounts as approved in the agenda. Thank you. Item 10, community infrastructure levy, to note the community infrastructure levy balances on the 3rd of September 2025 as tabled. Agreed. Excellent. Outside bodies, to note that there are no outside body reports that have been submitted. Moving swiftly on. And, okay, so item 12, budget setting process 2026 to 27. To consider and if thought fit to endorse the budget setting process for the forthcoming year, 2026-27 financial year, as recommended by the General Management Committee at its meeting of the 4th of September 2025. There is a supporting paper that the clerk has circulated, which is this one. That one there. And shall I read this out, or shall I give you a couple of minutes to read it? Would anyone like some time to read it further? Did you want to read it? You read it? Okay, so are we all happy with that? Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? No, that's unanimous then. Okay, so item 13. Encroachment on statutory allotment land in Allen Lane. We are to receive an update from the town clerk on recent correspondence with Hertford Borough Council regarding unauthorised encroachment of the statutory allotment land at Allen Lane, and there's a resolves that may come out of that as a result of the report the clerk's going to be giving.
I have got a summary update on the table. However, since the dispatch of agenda, we've now had communication from the planning enforcement officer who visited today. So I shall hopefully have more news on that, but it's it's now moving again. So really, if there is a resolution, it's that should the matter stall again, that council recommends that we use whatever we can to get our land back, really.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, so all those in favour of that? Okay, that's unanimous as well. Thank you. I just do want to say thank you very much to the clerk and to officers and wardens for their hard work on this particular issue, the encroachment. I know it's been annoying to say the least. 17 months dealing with this. So yeah, thank you once again for that. We're on to item number 14, public participation. I can see one member of the public shaking his head furiously at me. He doesn't want to participate.
You can carry on to the next agenda item.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, so we can move on to the item 15, the exclusion of press and public. I need to move resolution that the press and public be excluded from the meeting